Hey everyone, and welcome back to our channel. Today, we're diving into a story of ambition, betrayal, and a kingdom torn in two. It's a classic power struggle that unfolded right after the death of Israel's first king, Saul. So, grab your snacks, and let's get into the dramatic saga of Ish-bosheth versus David. After King Saul and his heir, Jonathan tragically fell in battle, a massive power vacuum opened up in Israel. Who would take the throne? While one man, David, had already been anointed and was gaining serious popularity, another key player had different plans. This was Abner, the commander of Saul's army. He was a military powerhouse, a political strategist, and he wasn't about to let Saul's dynasty just fade away. Abner's move was brilliant in its own way. He found one of Saul's few surviving sons, a man named Ish-bosheth, and propped him up as the new king over Israel. Now, let's be real, Ish-bosheth was more of a figurehead than a true ruler. The real power behind the throne was Abner himself. By making Ish-bosheth king, Abner could effectively control the northern tribes and maintain the influence of Saul's house. It was a strategic placement designed to keep his own power intact and to challenge the rising star, David. This move immediately split the kingdom. Down south, the tribe of Judah didn't hesitate. They knew their guy. They officially anointed David as their king, and he set up his capital in Hebron. So now you have this deeply divided nation, Ish-bosheth ruling the northern tribes from Mahanaim, and David ruling Judah from Hebron. This wasn't just a political disagreement. It was the start of a full-blown civil war. The stage was set for a long and bitter conflict between the house of Saul and the house of David. The next several years, Israel was locked in this internal conflict. The Bible tells us the war between the house of Saul and the house of David lasted a long time. There were constant skirmishes and battles. David's faction, however, seemed to have momentum on its side. It says David grew stronger and stronger while the house of Saul grew weaker and weaker. David was a proven warrior and a charismatic leader, and people were naturally drawn to him. His forces were led by his fierce nephew Joab, and they consistently gained ground. On the other side, Ish-bosheth's reign was completely dependent on Abner. Abner was the military muscle and the political glue holding the northern kingdom together. Ish-bosheth was king in name only. He reigned for about 2 years, but during that entire time, it was Abner calling the shots. This dependency created a fragile situation. What would happen if the puppet master and his puppet had a falling out? Well, that's exactly what was about to happen, and it would change everything. The tipping point came from a very personal and very serious accusation. Ish-bosheth confronted Abner about one of King Saul's concubines, a woman named Ritzpah. He accused Abner of sleeping with her. In that culture, taking a king's concubine was seen as a direct claim to the throne. It was a power play. We don't know if Abner was actually guilty, but the accusation itself was explosive. Ish-bosheth for once tried to assert his authority over his powerful commander. This did not go over well with Abner. He was furious. He basically said, "Am I a dog's head of Judah? After all the loyalty I've shown to your father Saul's house, protecting you from David, this is how you repay me, by accusing me over a woman." Abner felt disrespected and unappreciated. In that moment of anger, he made a pivotal decision. He declared that he would now do everything in his power to transfer the kingdom from the house of Saul to David. He was done propping up a weak king who didn't trust him. Ish-bosheth was terrified. The Bible says he was so afraid of Abner that he couldn't say another word. He had just accused the one man holding his kingdom together of treason, and now that man was threatening to defect to the enemy. He had completely miscalculated and overplayed his hand. His attempt to show strength had just exposed his ultimate weakness. True to his word, Abner secretly sent messengers to David. He proposed a deal. "Make a covenant with me, and I will help you bring all of Israel over to your side." This was the moment David had been waiting for. With Abner's support, he could unite the divided kingdom without years of further bloodshed. Abner was the key to the northern tribes. If he switched allegiance, the rest would follow. David agreed, but he had one condition. He demanded the return of his first wife, Michal, who was also King Saul's daughter. She had been given to another man after David fled from Saul. This wasn't just about romance. It was a strategic political move. By reclaiming Michal, David was reinforcing his own legitimate connection to Saul's royal line, making his claim to the entire kingdom even stronger. Ish-bosheth, powerless to refuse, had to take Michal from her weeping husband and send her back to David. So, Abner defected. He went to the elders of the northern tribes and persuaded them to switch their loyalty to David. He reminded them that they had wanted David as their king before, and now was the time. The shift was happening. Abner's betrayal marked the beginning of the end for Ish-bosheth. The foundation of his entire reign had just crumbled beneath him, but the drama wasn't over. While Abner was successfully paving the way for David's unification, David's own commander, Joab, had a score to settle. Years earlier, Abner had killed Joab's younger brother in a battle. Joab saw Abner's defection not as a political victory, but as an opportunity for revenge. He lured Abner aside and murdered him. This act threw a major wrench in David's plans for a peaceful transition. David publicly mourned Abner and cursed Joab, making it clear to everyone in the north that he had no part in the assassination. With Abner gone, Ish-bosheth's kingdom completely fell apart. The Bible says that when he heard Abner was dead, his courage failed, and all Israel was dismayed. He had lost his protector, his general, his entire support system. His reign was effectively over. The final, tragic end for Ish-bosheth came not from David, but from within his own ranks. Two of his army captains, Baanah and Rechab, saw an opportunity. Thinking they would be rewarded by David, they snuck into Ish-bosheth's house while he was taking his midday nap and assassinated him. They then took his head to David in Hebron, expecting a hero's welcome. But they had seriously misjudged David's character. David was horrified. He was furious that they had murdered a righteous man in his own bed. Instead of rewarding them, David had them executed for their treachery. He then took Ish-bosheth's head and had it buried with honor in Abner's tomb. Even in death, David showed respect for the house of Saul. With Ish-bosheth's death, the final obstacle to a united kingdom was removed. The elders of all the tribes of Israel came to David in Hebron. They acknowledged him as their true leader, the shepherd God had chosen for them, and there they anointed David king over all of Israel. The 7-year division was over, and the era of David's golden age was about to begin. So, the story of Ish-bosheth is a tragic one. He was a pawn in a much larger game, placed on a throne he couldn't hold, and overshadowed by more powerful men. His short 2-year reign was filled with conflict and instability, ultimately ending in betrayal and assassination. But his downfall was a necessary step in Israel's history, paving the way for King David to finally unite the nation and lead it into an unprecedented era of strength and prosperity. What do you guys think? Was Ish-bosheth just a victim of circumstance, or did his weakness seal his own fate? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Thanks so much for watching. If you enjoyed this deep dive, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe, and ring the bell so you don't miss our next video. See you next time, and God bless.